I choose to live in an advanced community within an advanced system. I choose to live in a system that is founded upon universal law, a system that incorporates universal law into all aspects of its being. In this system, we can be recognized as individuals with high merit and good intentions. We can be welcomed into a participatory system that wants to hear our ideas and wants our participation. In this system, we can live in advanced communities that produce excess resources of a particular interest. We can find a community that specializes in producing what we are interested in, and we can choose to become a part of advanced working, living regions, communities, and structures. Different types of communities can have different functions. For example, some communities might primarily act as caretakers to a particular resource or part of land. Other communities might integrate with a resource or part of the land and create a calm-paced industrial living area. A way of merging with the local resources or the local geography to create long-lasting biochain industrial operations that produce various types of excess resources. We live and work there. So it is beautiful and functional. One of the main types of excess resource will be in the form of organic matter, usually in the form of advanced gardening and farming. This type of work should be available locally in our community at all times, and we should have the right to turn to or fall back on this local work at all times. This should be a standard right that we should not have to ask for, or have our profile re-vetted for, nor wait to be scheduled for. The right to do things of value for ourselves and others should always be available to us, and it should be as easy to access as walking right out of our own front door and participating. And in some cases, not even that far, as we should have the ability to be credited for taking on caretaker roles for other individuals, as well as the land and structures. Lifelong bonds can be had where a caretaker becomes more than just an acquaintance, but a family member. There should be far more right to create and build bonds that are important to us, and the right to much more time to enjoy those bonds. We should have the right to spend the majority of our time with who we choose, and in many cases we can create self-crediting networks. Anything that would otherwise require assistance that we take care of on our own can be recognized and credited for. In many cases, we should be receiving credit for taking care of each other, as acting as the caretakers to one another in local holistic areas of natural production and advanced housing. Bonds we form when we are young can last a lifetime, and there should be just as much focus on bond forming and socialization when we are young as there is on education. And when we get older and we find ourselves alone, there should be the availability to access resources other than predatory systems or dating apps that help people to find others to spend time with. The right to shelter, the right to work, and the right to participate in the higher functions of governance for all is never in question in this system. You cannot threaten monopolies of power with your participation or ideas. Even a child has the right to come along and challenge things and to have their suggestions taken seriously. Versus monopolies that must forever protect their accomplishments and keep them in use whether outdated or not. If you see a community that is involved in producing a particular type of resource or is involved in a project that you are interested in, you are free to access any unoccupied room at your room level in that community. Then you have the right to access a database of local work, and you have the right to begin participating locally. In most cases, there will be at-home self-paced education modules and sometimes mentorship programs that are required before certain tasks can be accessed, and these courses and avenues to participation should be available to everyone at all times. Again, it is suggested that you pay the student for course completion instead of making the student pay for education. People employed presently as teachers can have access to other ways of being credited for education, including mentorship programs and scheduled classroom sessions. Each level of citizenry should be like being a member of the Starship Enterprise. From the room, to the structure, to the community, to the city, to the region. Each level is like a fractal image of the other levels, with each containing a central nervous system of information, leading up to central hubs of participatory decision-making arenas. With the goal of harmonious living and maintenance of production areas. If we run out of things to do, we can always get space ready since we are in space already. You can be employed as captain of an advanced residential and industrial Earthship that could potentially be space-ready. Command chains develop only in response to various events and then dissolve as things return to normal functioning. People can carry various forms of rank in various fields, but the utmost respect goes to normal civility. The goal is harmonious civility, and normal everyday life is given the highest authority. Humanity needs to learn to stop being tricked by out-of-control power brokers with no respect for universal law and with no moral code, garnering power by taking advantage of humanity. There should be no excuse for things like war, and there should be no excuse for disruptions to standard civil living. Any excuse they try to come up with to violate universal law either on an individual level or in mass has a solution in logic and reason. Each declaration for the reason for the disruption of standard civil living is in itself an admission of guilt, as that reason has a solution. And to not recognize that solution is the revelation of intellectual incompetence. Humanity and all consciousness can come together under the principles of universal law. In that way, we are all working toward a collective goal being the mutual benefit of all under the principles of universal law, which states that one must never initiate aggression and violate the consent of another for any reason. I want to live in an advanced agrarian culture where housing is never in question. Where the right to access work and the right to access work locally is never in question. Where we can reach achievements in our community and assist in the operation of advanced living and production areas. We should have the right to participate in the higher levels of our community's functioning and take part in ensuring its safety, the continuation of productivity, the management of resources, and the well-being of the people. When we can do this with skill at a local level, we can begin to increase the radius of care and abundance that each one of these communities can provide. When each one of these communities is producing sustainable, excess abundance on their own with enough to share, then we will have accomplished an exergonic economy. Once the world has more than enough to go around, we can reach higher levels of peace and order. And with these achievements, we should be able to free up our time so that we can get back to what is truly important, spending our time with family.